Is the No1 Podcast. I am your host, Coach Jake. Waiting for some people to show up. We got Ryan. What's up, Ryan? Happy to see you today. Gotcha Mania. Yes, I love it, dude. Best. That's a fantastic username. Hope you guys are good today. Today is the 7th of July, 7-7, right? 2 lucky numbers. Good day to bet on yourself, make some gambles or whatever. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, yesterday I was talking about getting you some haters and failing. And today I wanted to talk to you about a book I was gifted by a friend of mine. Fantastic book. Now, this friend of mine, he's a partner of mine. I do business with him. I travel around. So for you guys that don't know, you, especially the people on Instagram, are going to mostly know me through because of the business coaching, the grappling coaching that I do. So I also do business coaching, and I've been a consultant and started many big businesses and whatnot. Not big, but big, small businesses, right? So, and I have been hired by gigantic corporations to help them improve their money situation and mitigate their risks. Now, today I wanted to talk. Yesterday I was kind of talking about betting on yourself. You got to fail. How do you really learn? That learning a lot of times comes through trial and error, through experimentation, through taking risks. And that means exposing yourself to failure and learning from those failures. Now, this is the same in grappling. This is the same in business. What's up, Dave Dees? Any Tide? Vince? This bloke again? Juanita Wrestling? Happy to see all you guys. Let me jump on what's going over. Oh, we got Stellar Steven on YouTube, Dave Hollenbeck on Facebook. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys popping in. Let everybody know, man. Let's make this a party. Of course, if you want to communicate with me, the best way is through the chat. I will read what you say and I will answer what you say, or even if it's just a comment or you think I look stupid, I don't care, whatever. I'll share it. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit. I touched on it yesterday that I tend to like smaller organizations. I like small business, not big business. I like small government. I don't like big government. I like small religion or small spirituality, not big religion or not big spirituality. These kind of things. Because I do think that the bigger that you get, now that's not to say everything that's big is bad. I don't know. People probably could find something to complain about Amazon, but it seems like a pretty good company. Although I'm sure as something gets bigger, it gets harder and harder to maintain control and maybe ethics and things like that. Let's see here. We got Dave chiming in. He says, "How's it going, brother?" It is going excellent. Today is a fantastic day. Stellar Stevens says, "Listening in." Yes. Dave saying 100% and again 100%. Dude, I love it. What's up, John Waters? What's on, Mopey Dope? Jay Bennett, Growing Strong MMA. Happy to see all you guys. So today I wanted to talk a little bit. Now, this is something you may not know. I love small business. I do. I think it is, I'm not sure which, but I will maybe say small business over grappling and wrestling is the best personal development method known to man. I think wrestling is really up there, but there's a lot of people that don't wrestle, won't wrestle, but anybody can get involved with small business. Mopey Dope, can't wait for this weekend in San Diego. Dude, it's going to be crazy. Bring your notebook, bring your wrestling shoes, bring some water, bring a towel, bring like a meal replacement, because honestly, Sam and I have been just jamming. And so I don't know if we're going to have time for lunch, dude. Last camp, dude, we just banged it out. It was awesome. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Have a lot of cool, really cool, never been done before things. I like being a disruptor. That's why I created the mace bell. Never existed before. Everybody's swinging a kettlebell. I said, fuck that, man. You guys need to check this shit out. Updated, modified, engineered, made this out of steel, added a bunch of new exercises. So now the mace is like everywhere. Crazy. Love being a disruptor. Scientific wrestling has always been a disruptor, especially because of the dominance of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm like, hey, man, what about catch wrestling? In fact, I could argue that not only did pro wrestling come out of, everybody, the WWE, AEW, all that shit, and New Japan, All that comes out of Catch as Catch Can. Olympic wrestling, first Olympics that had freestyle. It was called Amateur Catch as Catch Can, 1904 in the London Olympics. And of course, UFC, mixed martial arts, all of that. Pancrase, which came out of Karl Gotch, that lineage, actually opened their doors, did their first show like a month before the UFC. So, super duper influential sport. I love Catch as Catch Can wrestling. I can't argue that Gracie, that the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came out of Catch as Catch Can as well. Meaning that if it wasn't for Maeda learning and designing his own system as a response to him being on the catch wrestling circuits, that there wouldn't even be any jiu-jitsu. So I brought it back, dusted it off, kicked up some dust, got a bunch of other people interested. So, I mean, I even created my own competition, basically. Stellar Steven is saying, does Grant Cardone focus on small business? Yes, he does. He's helped big businesses, but his passion is definitely small businesses. And favorite Pancrase fighter, Suzuki. Yeah, I think Suzuki would probably, well, I might give the edge actually, honestly, to Frank Shamrock because he's a coach of mine. Just a great guy, just an incredible athlete. At least as far as I know. I don't know about anybody else, but man, Frank is just a stud, nice guy. Yeah, fantastic human. Stellar Steven blowing up the chat here. What's up? Bang, 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 M. And Amand Vidhing and Juanita. Matt Hume's a stud, dude. Yeah, great guy. Like, met him once. Super nice. Yeah, tough dude. I love Matt Hume. I think Frank Shamrock is probably mine. Who's yours? I don't know. Who's your favorite Pancrase guy? So many good ones. I heard Dutch Mantel talk about Maeda. Okay, cool. I don't know about that. So, anyway, love small business. I've got a couple of them. I've helped scores them. I've helped people create them. I've sold small businesses. Okay, so been doing this as long as I've been doing catch wrestling. Well, not wrestling and grappling, but as long as I've been doing catch can, even maybe a little longer. But this is such a great book. This is written by Jim Clifton and Jim Harder. These are the guys from Gallup. Do you know Gallup? They do all the polls. Oh, Gallup poll this, Gallup poll that. Okay. Now, I've worked professionally as a statistician, so I'm maybe cynical or skeptical sometimes in numbers, but I do think they could be helpful. Okay. I do think they can give you a good idea of where you're going. What's up, Willie? What's up, ENS BJJ? So I think that they can be useful. So I like this book because it's called, I'm just reading it. Number one Wall Street Journal bestseller. Okay, cool. From Gallup, based on our largest global study of the future of work. Okay, so this is very interesting because generational dynamics play in like the fourth turning. I cannot remember the two authors, but I had one of them on my old radio show years ago. You can go find it. I think it's in the, if you go to number one like this, no1.ninja, I think it's in the archive. You have to maybe scroll down a bit. How? Is that his last name? I think that's the guy who I had on. Anyway, he talked about like generational dynamics, right? This stuff about like boomers and Xers and millennials and Z and all that shit. And the cycles of history. It's very fascinating. I'm a little skeptical of that too, but it's interesting. I think it's at least a good way to get a conversation going about these kind of things, about generational dynamics. And they say based on our, so above the title, it says based on our largest global study of the future of work. So they're really talking about, this shift because the boomers are retired or very much retiring. The Gen Xers are now kind of getting into power and getting, they're in their peak earning years, a lot of the Gen Xers like myself. And but it's the millennials and the Gen Zers that are really entering the workforce. And that's kind of what they talk about here. Dave Hollenbeck, what are you saying, bro? What is up here? Why do you think the sport of grappling took so long to take off in America? Well, okay, let's talk history. Let's talk generations. Depends which generation you're talking about, right? So let me hide this. And he says it's only really 100 years old, grappling. Yeah, so let me make sure I got that. There we go. So, I think it kind of depends, right? Like, so I would argue that catch as catch can wrestling in the age of Jenkins and Hackenschmidt and Frank Gotch, that it was the biggest sport in the United States, right? At the turn of the century. This is over 100 years ago, 120 odd years ago. So I think it was arguably the biggest sport in terms of gates and attention paid to it. That then became pro wrestling, right? And the competitive side kind of went actually underground, ironically enough. I think that, it has to do obviously with distribution. So back in the day, let's say in the Civil War, when catch really started catching on, especially in the United States, the main method of entertainment delivery, remember, there wasn't radio even. There wasn't TV. There certainly wasn't an internet or streaming or satellites or any of that shit. They had the carnivals and they would travel, right? They would do these traveling circus type of things, these carnies. And so that was really when it started picking up in the United States. In England, it really started picking up at the like 1885-ish. Started getting really hot and exciting. Now, if you go back, wrestling has been popular for a long, long time. I mean, there's books going back. I have a book somewhere in my collection. I have a lot of books. I don't even know where it is, but I think it's like 1787, the Cornish Hug and In Wrestler or something. And it goes back talking about how popular these games were. So wrestling has kind of been, it was the first game at the Olympic Games going back, 2,000 plus years ago or whatever. So, it's kind of hard to say, but it's been popular for a very, very long time. It's just kind of morphed with people. And in the 20th century, it wasn't until in America, they had tried things. Actually, I think the UWFI had a pay-per-view in the United States prior to UFC. Okay. And the UWFI, for those you don't know, that's where Sakuraba came out of. Dan Severn cut his teeth there, moving from amateur to pro. It was a worked shoot organization. Okay. Do you know what that means? That means that it was meant to look real, but it was still predetermined. Okay. So basically they would tell you the finish and the rest of it was a real fight, but you just had to have whoever was determined to go over, because they would try to structure the program, who wins the championships, and they try to plan all that out. So, the UFC was really the first one, I think, to capture the imagination of the Western world in that way, for truly competitive fighting that included grappling and wrestling in a long time, since catch wrestling, since the heyday of catch wrestling. So I don't even know if that answers your question. What's up? Born Dirty, Died Dirty. Let's do some art. Daniel Bushido. What's up? Bushido BRN 76. Kaya Mayer. Hey, how are you guys? Appreciate you guys joining the stream. So now I do want to talk. I want to kind of try to stay on topic, but you guys can ask me whatever you want. Stellar Steven blowing up here again. I like Suzuki for his pro wrestling. I was watching Boss. BJJ professor, he likes Funaki the most. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Glenn Jacobs. Yeah, I wish I knew did catch in Japan before I met him. So, I'm not sure the extent, but I do have on the Scientific Wrestling YouTube channel some footage of him fighting in the Pro Wrestling Fujiwara Gumi, which was also a worked shoot. It was it was Proto Pancrase. This was Fujiwara's promotion in Japan. Yoshiaki Fujiwara armbar fame, was in the corner of Inoki with Karl Gotch at the Ali Inoki fight. Like judoka, catch wrestler, badass. I've been lucky to train with him a few times. Just a great human being. So the pro wrestling Fujiwara Gumi predated Pancrase because that's where Suzuki and Funaki started, and then they had their own vision and took Carl with them and started creating Pancrase, right? So now here's the cool thing: all of these started out as small businesses, including the UFC, small business. Okay, and I want to read from this book some stats. Let's see. Dave Hollenbeck says, "I was just trying to say, like, I believe that if you look at the timeline in the early 1900s, jiu-jitsu is born, judo is born, wrestling is taken off. Seems like there's not a whole lot before the 1800s and early 1900s before that anywhere in the world. No, I mean, you just got to look in history. It's really the dawn of the modern age of modern media with, you're starting to seeing people take photos. So there's like photo evidence and newspapers and stuff. So I think, the technology you got to not confuse history with the documentation afforded by technology, because anyway, you could read back wrestling's been super popular, but it, obviously, so the first place Catch as Catch Can was documented was in the North England and Lancashire County. So it gets called Lancashire Catch as Catch Can, but I'm pretty sure people were probably messing around with these rules in Ireland and other areas, possibly in Belgium, potentially. I mean, it's hard to say because all we know is what was documented, and then how much do we trust the documentation, because they're human and they were biased, and right. History is written by the victor. So like, who knows? But these are the best we could do. It's like statistics, the same thing. It just gives us a good idea. So some of this just gets to be pedantic. You don't really know, right? So, okay. Anyway, small business, right? UFC was a small business. I was just doing some research because I'm launching this program. It's my first affiliate program for martial arts for scientific wrestling. It's the Scientific Wrestling Affiliate Fight Gym program. I've been looking at other business models and trying to figure out how to make this grow and whatnot. And what's interesting is I do try to be disruptor. I try to be the first. I try to be number one in these things like Mace Bell, or in the first competition for Catch as Catch Can, the first complete like curriculum and whatnot, all this kind of stuff. I try to do that because I think it's important from a business perspective to be first. It makes it easier, like from a marketing standpoint. There's this idea that first to market, there's a huge advantage in that. So I've really focused a lot of my efforts on that. I don't try to copy what somebody else is doing per se. I try to do something that disrupts the industry. And then I'm the first, like the Mace Bell, right? Everybody was doing kettlebells. And then I was like, well, I got certified. Valery Fedorenko, I went to his course, got certified probably 2005. I don't know, 2006, something like that. I don't remember exactly when, but I was like, well, why am I just going to be like everybody else? Let me do something and stand out. It works. It's worked for me anyway. So, but the Mace Bell is a small business. Scientific wrestling is a small business. Okay. I want you to read something because this is something that is very interesting to me. I think that like a lot of times the idea of business gets vilified, and particularly by people who never had a fucking business, never run a business. Maybe they're biased with this coffee shop intellectual Marxism bullshit that because they never really have been challenged, or, like they're not real intellectuals, right? Like a keyboard warrior, right? They haven't actually gotten in and had skin in the game and some of this stuff. So, there's a lot of these biases, but I think they're completely misinformed. This is such a great book. I would highly recommend it. So again, it's based on our largest global study of the future of work, right? So they're talking about like, where's the trend? Where are things moving? Highly recommend it. And what I like about this is I've been a coach for a long time in grappling and in business, but I love this because the subtitle says it's the manager moving from boss to coach, right? So I was actually on a client call today having a little bit of the discussion about this difference. So, let's think about this. When I say the word boss, right? Or I say the word manager, Well, how would you define that? How does that come to mind for you? What does that mean? Do you want a boss, right? Because everybody jumps to entrepreneurship because it's like, be your own boss, implying people don't want a boss, right? And a manager, what is a manager? Do you want to be managed? Is that something that you're looking forward to in your life? Hey, man, I can't wait to be managed. I can't wait to be bossed, right? Not awesome. Because I think that is the old way of thinking, which is a product. I was ragging on government schools. I don't call them public schools anymore. I call them government. I call them what they are, government schools. I was ragging on them yesterday because I think they are awful. And I don't think that what I'm saying is just an opinion. I think it's fact. They're not interested in your human potential. They're not interested in freedom, in innovation, in any of that. What the school system tries to do, and you can just look at it. If you have kids or you've recently got out of school, literally from the time it starts, let's say you have to be at school at 8, 8:30, till when it's over at 3 to 3:30, you are told what to do the entire time. So Bushido BRN 76, a boss can tell you what to do. Managers ask you to do things. Okay, that's an interesting argument. Let's see, what's Dave say? Someone who has knowledge of something of value. I don't know exactly. Who are you defining there, Dave? So from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, these kids are told what to do. Hey, do this homework, or write this thing, or do these calculations. They get 15-minute breaks. No exercise. They're sitting. By the way, sitting is the new smoking, if you didn't know. It's killing people. So they train all these young people who are full of life, full of energy, full of they're fascinated by the world. They want to what do they say? Fuck around and find out. They want to figure shit out. And it's killed. It's squashed, right? And then failure is punished, right? Just shit. It's just shit. And then they go home and they got 3 hours of homework. It's just a giant disaster. Okay. That's what school trains. And that's the basis of our culture. All of us are indoctrinated. That's why I call it a government school. They're not interested in human potential, right? This is why you guys got guys like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. I'm not saying whether you like them or not. I mean, they might be assholes or evil even. I don't know. But what I'm saying is a lot of these guys don't even finish school because they're like, fuck that shit. I will go hire somebody because they'll be well-trained. I can tell them what to do. I'll hire the people with PhDs and master's degrees and bachelor's degrees, but they don't get them themselves, okay? Because they're starting a business. So I want to talk a little bit. The title of today is, I said that small business is actually bigger than big business. And this is interesting. So again, these are a lot of statistics. So I hope this isn't boring, but I do think they maybe help us get an idea of, right? A lot of people just love to fucking bitch and moan. Oh, Joe Biden. Oh, Trump. Blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. You have no control over them. Okay? Yeah, they could tweak some laws. They could drop some bombs. They could do shit like that. And you have zero control. Okay? You have zero. Voting is a giant jerk off. You might as well bet on pro wrestling. It's stupid. Voting is stupid. It's totally inefficient. Doesn't do anything. It's a waste of your time. It's a distraction. Okay? What you can control is your life and what you do with your attention, your time, and your effort. That's about what you got. You can't control other people. You can barely control yourself, man. I mean, look at how you play Call of Duty or watch Pornhub or eat fucking junk food or binge watch Netflix or whatever, right? So, and even controlling yourself is hard. But that's all you got. So why don't we focus on that? Why don't we focus, instead of bitching and moaning, on building what we want? And that's what I love about entrepreneurs. I was like, I want a kettlebell. I want a mace bell. I went and I worked out with Carl, and he had let me swing his. Okay. I was like, where do I get one? He's like, I hired a woodworker and this, and I tried to do it, but they wanted like $400. I was like, okay, if I like this when I tried it, and I know my market well, like I said, I was in the heat of the kettlebell thing. I was one of the first 1% to become a CrossFit affiliate. There's 15,000 of them now. I was at the first 250. Okay, so I was well attuned to the market and what people liked and stuff. And so when I got my hands on this mace of Carl's, I was like, shit, dude, I can't get it. I want to make one, but they're stupid expensive for me just to make on my own. I'm going to go see if I can pitch this idea, put together a whole deal, find a manufacturer, get it made, develop a program. I did all that. Instead of bitching and moaning, I did all that work, took that risk. It could have been nothing. I've done that for projects and nothing came of it, right? What's up, Stefan? What's up, Surfing Scorpion 77? Or Steven, sorry. So I took those risks. And it worked out. In some of the cases, it works out. Sometimes the effort is for naught. But I'm taking the risk. I'm spending the money. I'm putting my attention and time on that instead of Netflix, right? So small business, this is the thing that I love. And this is the thing with politics. We all bitch and moan and don't do anything, but we outnumber the quote unquote elite or the political class. We outnumber them like a bajillion to one or whatever. We're just too easily distracted by dumb shit like football games and football mentality of like Democrat, Republican, of actually just kicking these motherfuckers out and letting everybody just be their own people as long as they respect consent, like the basis of morality, in my opinion. Okay. So anyway, small biz, this is the interesting thing. Let me read you statistics. According to the Census Bureau, okay, best calculations we can come up with, right? Oh, what's Dave say here? Dave's blowing me up too. Life really begins when you realize it's for you to live and experience. Well, and you have to take that responsibility, right? Because you can just experience things plugged into Netflix. You know what I mean? Oh, I got to choose the channel. Okay, I'm just saying, like, you got to stop being seduced. You got to shift from a consumer mindset to a producer. You can't help but be a consumer because to live is to consume. To live is to kill. If you really want to get philosophical, okay? Like even vegetarians, man. You vegans, they've done studies, plants can feel pain too, so get off your high horse. You've got to kill in order to live. I'm sorry. Unless you eat a diet of strictly unfertilized eggs, which hopefully most of them are, eggs, right? Because it's not a life yet. It's not fertilized. Once it's, and I don't want to get into Roe v. Wade, but if it's a non-fertilized egg, okay, and same with fruit. Fruit comes off the tree, that kind of thing. So you're not actually killing. But fruit and eggs, man, our bodies aren't designed for it. You're not going to be very healthy. What's up, DMAC5411? Pipey Bomb, good to see you. Appreciate you guys dropping in. But let me read these statistics, okay? So the Census Bureau, there are roughly 6 million firms in the United States. 6 million firms. Of that 6 million, 4 million, we're talking 2/3, way vast majority, have 4 or less employees. Small biz. So you can bitch about these big corporations, and some of them are evil, and particularly the pharmaceutical companies. Okay, don't get me started on that. They've been like the largest criminal lawsuit against a company was against, I think it was against Pfizer. And you guys trust them to inject untested shit in your body? Man, fuck that. That's some crazy. You guys that were the canary down the coal mine or that listened to all this lockdown shit, man, I am really sorry, dude. Like you just can't do that. And I'm sorry if you're suffering from all the crazy side effects. If you're following the news or anything, do you know that like life insurance companies are fucking pissed at pharmaceutical companies? I read, I think it's Lincoln, which is one of the biggest insurers. Their payouts of prime mortality, which shouldn't be payouts. These are the people that pay them the premiums and don't die. That's how they stay alive. Like insurance company. Insurance companies are like hundreds of years old, right? Like, so this is a business model that's sustainable in life insurance. They had their biggest payouts from non-COVID related deaths the year following the mass injection schedule, right? So they had an increase of 163% in payouts. Another life insurance company noticed a 40% increase in deaths in the prime. That's like 18 to 65, I think. These are the people that are least likely to die that keep paying their premiums. A 40% increase in 1 year. Crazy, dude. Crazy shit, right? So Big business is actually small. It's only 1/3. So let me read these statistics, right? Let's see what Dave is saying here. He's dropping in. What's up, Nexus? What's up, Casey Dawes? Guy at my work that went from being a viable employee to now barely shuffling through life. He can barely think. He mumbles everything. It's very different from, dude, myocarditis, strokes. Sorry. What else is going on? Like fucking kidney failure. Man, this is like an unspoken thing going on right now. It's fucked up. And who knows what this is doing to reproduction. I heard that like it's affecting women's reproductive systems. It's a giant disaster, but that's a whole other show. And again, I don't want to get too involved in it because there's nothing that can be done about it. You just got to try to like at least have a critical mind so you can understand this stuff and not get victimized, by these unethical so that this whole thing, right? So the Nuremberg trials were a result, the Nuremberg Code, which is the basis for medical ethics. Now, the basis of medical ethics is called principalism, comes out of the Nuremberg Code, which is a result of World War II trials going after the Nazis for doing experiments on unwitting people and hurting them, right? So like there's these ideas of like informed consent, do no harm. Like these are the basis of medical ethics. All of this stuff that happened with the mandate, these vaccine things and all that, I'm just being real. Like they were in violation of the same things the Nazis were. I hate to be that guy, but I'm just letting you know, dude. It's like fucked up. So anyway, according to Census Bureau, there are roughly 6 million. What's up, Harry? What's up, Real Dan? What's up, CF Welds? According to the Census Bureau, there are roughly 6 million firms in the U.S. Of the 6 million, 4 million have 4 or less employees. 4 people. Companies with 4 people or less. How many people do you know that run a business and they have less than 4 employees? They have 4 employees or less. That's 2/3 of all business is small business. And I mean, I still consider 10 employees or even 20 employees a small company. So 2/3 have 4 or less. Okay. These are the mom and pop shops. So that leaves 2 million small, medium, and large businesses in the country. They're made up of 1 million firms. There's 1 million firms with 5 to 9 employees. Okay. So the next level up, 5 to 9, there's only 1 million of those. There's only 600,000, like a little more than 500,000 firms in the United States, big ass country with 10 to 19 employees. And there's only 500,000 firms, 500,000 firms with 20 to 99 employees. Okay. There are only 90,000, less than 100,000 businesses of those 6 million. Do you understand like how tiny of a sliver 90,000 is of a $6 million pie? Okay. 90,000 businesses in America have between 100 and 499 employees. And there's only 18,000 out of 6 million that have 500 employees or more. Crazy. Okay. So what does that say? So companies with employees of less than 99 make up the vast majority. There's only 108,000 out of 6 million. 108,000 companies that have 100 or more employees. That's 5,990,000 or whatever to 110,000 big businesses to small. And yet, who is essential? Who is essential? It's fucking nuts. Because people are illiterate. In the same way people are grappling illiterate, like, oh, look at the fucking twister. Oh, look at the truck. Okay, it's cool. I'm glad somebody's turning you onto it. But do you know where it fucking came from? Do you know how long it's been around? Do you know all the different fucking entries that all those people know? What about Cradles? What about Nelson's? What do you know about the statistics that like early on, I was like right out the gate, I was like, something smells rotten with all this lockdown shit. And 99.9% survival rate, and people are going to get injected with an experiment. you could say it's non-experimental, but it's only non-experimental because they got emergency clearance to call it not, but it's experimental, dude. If you took that, unfortunately, because you trusted an untrustworthy organization, proven doesn't give a shit about you. If you took that, dude, you really put yourself at risk. Anyway, okay. So I'm trying to get off my soapbox here. Yeah, Dave, heading to teach class. Have fun, bro. I appreciate you tuning in, and please do. I mean, I hope you're getting some value out of this. Very cool to realize that. Well, let's stop. Just say fucking no. If lockdowns happen and they try to shut down every fucking company because you're non-essential, you're the fucking vast majority, and you're just listening to some idiot, whether it's Trump or Biden or fucking Fauci, telling you what you can and can't do, and that your family, you can't make money. And you're a small business, so you're probably doing it ethically, meaning it's a win-win. Like if I sell these fucking hats and I'm like, hey man, you like my hat more than you like your $20, and I like your $20 more than I like my hat. We both walk away winners. That's positive. That's 100% ethical. That's 99.9 whatever percent of America. Right? So anyway, I just find this book is absolutely fascinating to give you some real perspective on things, right? So, my question for you guys is, have you ever thought, where are you? Are you a worker bee? Do you work for one of those 100,000 companies in the world or in America that have more than 100 employees? Or are you part of the rest of us that are involved with a small business? Now, those companies that employ more than 100 people, they employ a lot of people. Okay? Amazon, right? They're big companies. Those are the elite. Okay? And not all, I would say the vast majority of them are probably ethical, or they try to do the very best they can. Okay? But there are some that, for example, do what's called rent seeking. Do you even know this concept? Rent seeking? Anybody out here know what that is? So rent seeking, you should Google it, right? Oh, what's Dave saying? So refreshing. So many dumbasses. You give me hope. I'm so glad I listened today. Thanks, dude. I mean, I actually believe I'm very, I love people. I'm not pessimistic. I'm an optimist. That's why I do this every day. I'm like, guys, okay, let's actually look at the numbers. We outnumber. We could just say no. We could just say no. No, I'm not going to lock down. Right. And when people got sick of it, it went on for a year, 2 years, they're only 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And it goes on. And everybody's being very good and patient because they're scared, because every channel is fucking constantly pumping fear when the real numbers are 99% survival rate. Okay. And in fact, the people that are at highest risk are older than the average mortality of 77. The highest risk is 78 and older. And the average age of death for American men, anyway, in this example, was 77. I mean, it's fucking utter nonsense, but it's because people go to public school where they're just trained to do what they're told. That's a problem. Most people are good. I think by and large, and I think the numbers vet this out, right? I think they prove this out. If you look at the numbers on psychopathy and sociopaths and all that shit, they spontaneously occur in a population 1 out of 100 in a general population. That means 99 out of 100 people are not psychopaths. I don't mean that they're shining examples of morality or anything, or Mother Teresa, even though I hear she wasn't 100%. She was a saint, but I don't know if she was always awesome. But my point is that I think people are by nature good, but I think the problem is that, it starts with these government schools that we're taught to just be compliant and not raise a fuss and don't take risk and all these kind of things, right? I think it was a major coup for them to be like, oh, we're going to give this to you for free. First of all, it ain't free. I'm paying out of my property taxes. And I ended up taking my kids out of public school. So I'm paying double because I still have to pay the school stuff out of my property taxes. And then pay money for my kids, dude. It's a big chunk. I'd say it's as close, like I pay for my kids' school close to what I pay for my mortgage, which is a big expense, in terms of my personal budget. So anyway, people, as long as you are a good person, meaning you don't initiate violence and you don't lie and steal from people. I think it's real simple. And I don't think you have to be religious. I think there are religions all include that, but I think it's kind of common denominator between many moral systems about like, don't steal, be honest, fully informed, right? Like, let's look at, let me see if I can find this. So the principles here. Hey, Google, what is bioethical principlism? Oh, it's not going to let me because I'm on Clubhouse. By the way, guys, I am on LinkedIn, 2 different YouTube channels, 2 different Facebook channels, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, and then after the show, it's all up on Spotify. I'm in the process of getting an Apple Podcast account. I am so slammed. I'm trying to make it all happen. But let's see what we're doing here. So let me type this in. So principlism. I appreciate your patience here. I know it's like the big no in streaming. Don't have a moment of silence because people tune out. I'm sorry. I'm hoping that you could be patient with me while I look this up. Principlism ethics. Let's see what it comes up here with. Okay. So principlism, again, came out in the Nuremberg Code. It is the basis of biomedical ethics today, by and large. I mean, obviously there's debate, but principlism is an applied ethics approach to the examination of moral dilemmas that's based upon the application of certain ethical principles. The 4 principles are this. And I think principlism should not just be, this was determined in the Nuremberg trials as a result of the Nazi bullshit. Okay. So, right. Which side are you on? Just saying, look up principlism. Okay. So there's 4 ethical principles that can be elucidated. I'm on the Wikipedia page. Respect for autonomy. Freedom. This principle refers to the capacity of an individual to be self-determining and make decisions for themselves without undue pressure, coercion, or other forms of persuasion. Sounds reasonable to me. See, a lot of this sounds a lot like libertarianism to me. Classical liberalism, not this neoliberal bullshit, and not neoconservatism, which are all variations, in my opinion, of Marxism, collectivism, socialism, communism. If you really look at neoconservatism, it's a Bolshevik idea. Like, I went into this. It's been too many years, but I wrote about this in Teocon, which is a play off of neocon and how they took over the Tea Party. Anyway, that's autonomy, right? So freedom from duress, freedom from violence, threats, coercion, that you could be self-determining. Is that what's taught in our government schools? Or are you told what to do all day, a threat if you don't? And do you know what truancy is? That's actually the law will fucking jack you up, or your parents. Okay. So how much autonomy is there actually being taught and indoctrinated? Okay. What's up, Andrea? What's up, Diego? What's up, Christopher? What's up, Building Bueno? Marcrizo. What's up, people? Okay. Here's the second principle from principlism. First is autonomy. Second is non-malfeasance, or do no harm. Simple. Don't hurt people. Okay. Duties of non-malfeasance require us to refrain from causing deliberate harm or intentional avoidance of actions that might be expected to cause harm. This is simple stuff. All, again, derivative out of the Nuremberg trials. Okay. And then the last one is, beneficence. So not just not doing harm, but actually an obligation to try to help people. Great. That's honestly what business does. Again, If you like my hat more than you like your $20, and I like your $20 more than you like my hat, that's beneficent. That's a win-win. Positivity, business, non-coercive, okay? Beneficence, mutually, a positive sum game, winner's exchange. There's a million words for it, okay? Not rocket science. And then the last one is justice. The principles of justice require that we do what we can to ensure that costs and benefits are evenly distributed. Okay, what does that mean? That costs and benefits are evenly distributed. Do you know what that means? So that those that get the benefits have the same cost. That doesn't happen in our culture, right? So let's say, for example, let's look at the Federal Reserve. Okay, let's get crazy. So, are the costs and benefits evenly distributed throughout society? The Federal Reserve. Do you know what the Federal Reserve does? By the way, they're as federal as FedEx. They're not actually supposed to be a part of the U.S. government. There was the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, shit-ass year for the United States, same year that the progressive income tax was passed, which is slavery. Again, non-consensual. Withholding is taken from you even before you know it's gone, right? Or if you're an entrepreneur or small business owner, you have to pay your tax or you go to jail. And if you fight, you get killed, right? Like, not controversial. Non-consensual. Okay? I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's right here in our face. And we wonder why our culture is so fucked up. And why, because everybody's getting mixed signals. Right? Because if you did the things that the federal government does, you'd go to jail. Or you'd be killed. If you did the things that your government does, you would go to jail. I'm going to tax you. Okay? You, right there, listening. You owe me 40% of your income. People would be like, what, dude? Okay, well, now I'm going to kidnap you and hold you against your will until you pay me 40%. That's called jail. What, dude? No, I'm not going to buy that. Okay, well, if you don't allow me to do that, then I'm going to shoot you. Okay? That's the reality of the situation. I don't know what to tell you. What's up, Andrea? What's up, Diego? What's up, Elite Krav Maga CFL? Okay. Giovanni Di Clementi wants to be in my live video. Listen, send me a comment and I'll consider it. That's going to be my policy. If you want to come on, I'm happy, but kind of preface what you want to do. And then I'll, let me see. It says view request. Maybe it does say that. Oh, no. So, I will do that for quality control. I used to have a talk radio show and I had a screener dude, listen, when I had a talk radio show, I had all kinds of wackos calling because they don't like hearing this shit. White supremacists, communists, like neo-Nazis, they don't like this stuff, okay? And I'm not saying everybody's like that. I let on a ton of people that disagree with me. You can go back to the old archives. I just want to have a heads up that it's not going to be gross, not going to be violent, any of that crap. So, anyway, the Federal Reserve. What do? They print money, right? So like the Treasury says, hey man, here's some US debt in the form of treasuries. And then the Federal Reserve says, oh, okay, well, I'll give you some money for that. They just print the shit out of thin air. It's a total scam. Like, I've done graduate monetary theory and economics, got an A+ in the class, okay, during grad school. I've been a libertarian. I met Milton Friedman in person, okay, before his passed. I know what I'm talking about. It's all bullshit. That's literally what happens. So, but the Fed just creates its money out of nowhere. Okay. So the first person to get it is the government, right? So as they get it, this is how inflation's created. They spend the money when it's so when inflation, you have to function in time. So when they first get the money, because they gave this debt, which you and I are surety on that debt. Our income taxes pay that debt. You understand that, right? That is forced. So fucked up. Notice they passed those two laws the same year. It's like a whole system of bullshit. But So the government now takes that newly created money out of thin air and go and buys stuff with it, when the purchasing power, let's say $100 will buy an Xbox. I don't know. What's something that costs $100? A VR helmet. Okay. I don't know. Fuck, what costs $100? I don't even know. But whatever. So let's say you can buy with $100, you can buy a new VR helmet. Okay. So the government goes and buys these new VR helmets for $100. And as they do that, the money now that was just created out of thin air begins to circulate throughout the United States. And because there's more money chasing the same amount of goods, the prices go up. Okay. So now that same VR, a couple years later, as the money trickles through, is now $500 instead of $100. We're noticing, after this, 40% of all the dollars that were printed in the last like couple years. So we're noticing it affecting things. Now, there is also deflation at play. Notice Bitcoin is a complicated thing. I wrote a whole book in 2011. Shit, man, like 12 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, called End-onomics, like economics, but I put in end, like the end. You can check it out on Amazon, Endonics, something like that. So End-onomics. Anyway, I talk about deflation, inflation, how it's confusing, and how things like derivatives and debt deflation really play into the numbers. And some of it can be misleading, especially with regards to the supply chain issues. Similar thing. You restrict supply, keep demand the same, price goes up. Basic economics, okay? So here's the thing. The Fed, the cost and the benefit, they're getting something, they're benefiting at a low cost, and we're not having the same benefit at the same cost. So is that justice? That's what they're saying. I know that took a while to explain, but appreciate you. So anyway, we are 99%, right? Remember all that shit from Occupy and stuff, the 1% and all that? They vilified business people when the business people are the backbone of this country. The non-essentials are actually the essentials, and they want to get rid of you, right? Like, I don't know how else to explain it. If I can't feed my family and you absolutely just nuke small business, which is what happened during all this bullshit lockdowns. If you nuke small business, dude, that's nuking the majority of Americans by far, right? So anyway, I want you to know I love small business. I think that it is the backbone of the American, and let's even say the global economy. Okay. I mean, there's some arguments that maybe China's overtaken us, just sheer population. You got a bigger population, they produce a lot, and a lot of it's with slave labor. And we do some of that, like the sweatshops that get you your iPhone and some of that stuff. It's not ethical, right? Non-consensual. So, that's kind of what I'm going for here is I would like to endeavor people, because I do think the majority of people are good, to get into business. And if you're like me, like I love grappling, and particularly I love catch wrestling, I love the mace bell, and I'm trying to create value, a winner's exchange where people are like, shit, I really think that's cool. And that will make my life better. Right. So for example, my mission with scientific wrestling is to get every man, woman, and child to improve themselves via scientific wrestling, catch as catch can, as either a fan, athlete, coach, or promoter. And I've got a lot of people, thousands of people over the last 20 years have done the winner's exchange with me. And that's whether they buy the products, the instructional material, the training material, the merchandise, right? They actually willingly went into their pocket, pulled out the credit card, typed it in, hit enter. I willingly went to my box of goods, wrapped it up, shipped it, right? Winner's exchange, totally positive. So I would encourage all of you guys, support the small business. They're us. And in fact, you have almost a duty to understand these things and to support small businesses. The majority of people, the 99% of people that are living and doing good, Stop. Just tune out the propaganda. Tune out the bullshit. Stop being like, as long as you are good and kind and live by principlism, you can say no. That is what that first principle, autonomy, means. You can say no. You should have no qualms, no guilt. Nobody should say you're killing grandma. It's bullshit. Okay? So you have a moral and ethical duty to succeed and to do so through positive sum relationships, win-wins. That is small business. And if you look at the numbers, we are winning 99%, right? Now, for those of you that don't know how to get in, I talked about it yesterday, go get a sales job. Go start with multi-level marketing, okay? If you want, I will help you. I've helped people start their own businesses, or if you have a gym or a fight gym, get involved with Scientific Wrestling Affiliate Fight Gym, scientificwrestler.com. I'll help you out. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in again. We're wrapping up. It's like, man, I can go and go, huh? It's like an hour already. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for more No1 Podcast. Appreciate you guys.